Today we're going to look at Spotlight Nightbeat. This is one of those stories that lays small bricks to a path that pays out a lot later on. It's written by Simon Furman with pencils and inks by M.D. Bright, who I couldn't find any images of, so I will call a man of mystery. And with that, let's begin. Spotlight Nightbeat opens with an offer from a character named Kraken. And the offer is that Nightbeat is welcome to a part of the flight recorder from the first arc, which we know, of course, from various Transformer fiction throughout the years. And, of course, Nightbeat is going to have to pay for it. He can't help himself, so when he arrives, he finds Kraken laying on the floor, offering his last words, which are, "There's a hole in the world." And the investigation of his death becomes the basis for the rest of the book. The first bit of information that's uncovered in his investigation is that while looking through Kraken's collection, because that individual seems to be a bit of a hustler, everything appears to be untouched except for the flight recorder, the basis for the reason that he's there in the first place. So the question becomes, who would want it? What importance does it have to anybody that's not necessarily a Cybertronian? We find out that 6.2 million metacycles ago, whatever that is, it went missing and the entire crew was lost. Mysteries wrapped in enigmas, if you will. Nightbeat begins his investigation on Gorlin Prime using an orbital jump, assuming a vehicle mode of the natives and beginning his investigation. This is back when assuming vehicle modes was seemingly a lot easier than it is now in IDW continuity. And he says that he witnesses a world on the cusp of a massive evolutionary change. The inhabitants have gone from organic to biomechanical, meaning cyborgs, and it suggests that this might be the evolution of the Transformer species as well. But being as though this planet only reached full industrial maturity 700 stellar cycles, once again, no idea, ago, he concludes that this information would suggest outside off-world manipulation. While exploring the planet, he comes across excavation areas and shafts running through the planet, which reinforces the original "there's a hole in the ground" idea. And while exploring those areas, he comes across fragmentary evidence, Cybertronian metals, which once again tie it back to his home world, which leads him to send all of the acquired information so far back to his ship to preserve it just in case. He eventually finds tunnels built more to his scale and size, which eventually lead to a silver lake, which reinforces the original "there's a hole in the ground" idea. That he says is a dimensional interface, some sort of portal. I'm not sure how he arrived at that, but while testing it out a bit, he's cornered by a small team. Emphasis on small. These four bots are Hyperdrive, Blackjack, Roadhugger, and Detour. Yep, that Blackjack. He tries to make contact with them, but they seem very hostile, and simultaneously, a group of silver beings emerge from the portal. Now, these silvery figures never fully form, and you don't really know who they're supposed to be, but playing into other continuity, one could assume that it's Geaxis, Nova Prime, Galvatron, and probably Straxus, since we confirm in Hardhead later on that that is the case, at least for Straxus. And all of those characters play out in a far bigger story later on. Surrounded, outnumbered, and in a bit of a panic, his fight or flight response kicks in and he gets out of there. The four bots in turn transform and give chase and attack him with neural disruptors. He handles them fairly well for a bit until two get in front of him and drop a few explosives that cause him to lose control and crash into a dead end. Cornered, trapped, and hit with a neural disruptor, he's approached by a silhouette who we find out later is Straxus and is captured. The next time we see him, he ends up on an operating table that looks more like the torture table that Solo was on, and alterations are being made to his brain. He realizes that the whole thing was a trap to lure him there to get the information that they wanted from him, because as a detective, he's probably uncovered many mysteries. In and out of consciousness, he hears bits and pieces to include the Dark Universe, the cerebral implant that's being put in him, and that the expansion will begin soon. With the cerebral implant in place, and him obviously working unknowingly for his captors, and a seemingly mind wipe, he ends up back on his ship, alerted to a new challenge via Optimus Prime. A lot of stuff that ends up tying in later here with Spotlight Hardhead that I hope to get to in time as well, and much more on Gorlin Prime. Not the most engaging read ever, but a lot of groundwork that's laid for later stories in the Phase 1 era. As always, I recommend if you do plan on picking this up, to pick it up in the IDW collection books. This one's in Volume 1. They're hard-covered, put together well, and create a nice display. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.